Welcome to our program, Astronomy for Everyone. The topic for this month's show is astronomy apps for smart devices. To tell us all about this, I have two guests with me here in the studio. To my immediate left, Tim Campbell, president of the Ford Amateur Astronomy Club, and Liam Finn, a member of our Astronomy for Everyone team. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Don.
Pleased to be here.
All right, Tim, you're going to cover the Apple or iOS platforms for us. And what's our first one?
Yes, I am, Don. So I have a number of applications that we're ready to demo. And the first one is a very easy application that just about anyone can use. You don't need a sophisticated device. Most people probably already have a phone. And that application is ISS Spotter. So let's go ahead and get into that demo. I'd like to show you one of the free apps available on the iOS platform called the ISS Spotter. The app does really two things. It gives you the current location of the International Space Station and also tells you when the International Space Station will visibly pass in the sky over your location. So this is an image that NASA put together just to give you a sense of scale. If you could compare the ISS to a football field to let you know how large that is. Those solar panels are so large that they reflect a tremendous amount of light, making the International Space Station the brightest thing in the sky apart from the sun and the moon. So you don't need a telescope, you don't need binoculars, just go outside and look up when a pass is about to happen near you. So how do you know when a pass is about to happen near you? Well, you flip over to the forecast panel and it tells you. So it gives you the dates and times of when visible passes will occur. It knows your location on the Earth, and it ranks them from 1 to 3 stars. 3 stars being better, brighter, higher in the sky, easier for you to see. 1 star being lower to the horizon, more difficult to see, maybe not so bright. So what you really want to do is make sure you're looking at the 3-star ones. I'm going to pick this 3-star one, and I can turn an alarm on if I'd like to be reminded when this one occurs. So I'll just pop that and the alarm is on. By the way, when the time and date arrive and it's time to go look at the ISS, it has this little compass here in the corner. And as I rotate the phone, it gives me the direction relative to the direction that I'm facing to show me where the pass will start. So I can just stand here, hold this in my hand, and rotate until I'm facing the direction labeled start and look up in the sky in that direction and wait for the time to arrive and the pass will begin. And you'll see this really bright object in the sky, brighter than any of the stars. It usually takes just a couple of minutes as the ISS goes behind the Earth into the shadow and no longer sunlight is hitting its solar panels. The ISS will appear to disappear. It's a free application. They do accept donations. You don't have to donate if you don't want to, but it's available on the iOS platform only. Sorry, Android users. That's it. ISS Spotter.
Thanks, Tim. Next, we have Liam Finn, who's going to be talking about apps for Androids. And Liam, what's your first one?
Well, the first one I'm going to speak about is Google Sky Map, but I'm going to also speak about a few other applications, 3 in total. Some of them are free and some of them are paid, and they will work on both the Android phone and Android tablets. So let's get started with the Google Sky Map.
Sounds good.
This is Google Sky Map. It's a nice application. It's free. It runs on your Android phone. It runs on your Android tablets. I believe there's a version available also for Apple, for your Apple phones and tablets. It has the ability to do a manual mode where you can actually manually slew around on the screen with your finger, or you have the option to put into automatic mode where it uses the compass in your phone that gives you the ability to point it towards an area of the sky, and it will tell you what's in the night sky in that area. For all astronomers, it comes in a color version for use during the daytime, but for astronomers, we actually flick over to nighttime mode. It also has the ability to do a search, so we can actually search for objects, and let's say which is M3, and we do go. And it finds M3. Now, because it's in manual mode for a demonstration, it actually automatically jumped to that location. So let's move away from M3. You'll see what happens, what really happens in the application. It gives you, when you search for an object, it comes up and says, gives you a circle to find the object. And if you follow the arrow by dragging the screen around, the circle will start getting larger as you approach the object. Now you are in M3 and you can see it on the screen, and then you can actually zoom in, see the object also. But it doesn't give you detailed images of the objects, or it does not give you information on the objects. It just shows you where they are in the night sky. It also has a nice option to time travel, which allows you to move forward or backward in time to see what the sky looked like then. You can change your date, which is very, very easy, and you can change your time. You can modify your time. So you can actually change to see what the sky is going to look like tonight, if you wish to, or tomorrow, or next week, or 10 years in the past. You also have the option to turn on and off features like you can turn on and off your meteor showers. You can turn on and off planets so they don't appear in the view. You can turn on and off galaxies and so on. You turn on and off the constellations so you don't see the lines for the constellations. But it is a pretty basic app. It doesn't give you a lot of detail. It cannot be used to drive your telescope or anything like that. But it does give you a basic understanding of the objects in the night sky, where they are. So it actually helps you find and get you a grounding in finding objects in the night sky using a telescope or using a pair of binoculars. So I think it's a really nice beginner app. And it's extra nice because it's free and runs on any Android device.
Thanks, Liam. That sounds like an interesting app. Next, we're going to go back to the Apple devices with Tim. Tim, what have you got for us?
Oh, thanks, Don. I have another application. This one's actually quite a lot of fun to use, and we'll get right into the demo. So here's a free app available also on the iOS platform. This one works on the iPad, on the iPhone, and this one even has an Apple Watch extension. I'll talk about that in just a moment. It's an augmented reality app, and it's called SkyView. What this means is I'll go ahead and just launch the app, and you'll see it's going to start using my camera. And you can see here I am looking at my keyboard. Obviously, this would be more fun to use outside, but I'm recording this video here in my office. As you move the camera around, you actually see video of the scene around you, but it's overlaying on that scene the sky. And then as I move the targeting reticle onto something in the lower left corner, it sort of tells me what is the object that I'm looking at. So that's the constellation Cassiopeia. I can go over here. I think there's, that'll be Sagittarius. So there, but it also lets you locate objects if you don't know where they are. So let me just bring this down so it's easier for me to use the search button. I'll go into the solar system and I'll tell it that I'd like to find, Saturn sounds pretty fun. And notice that my targeting reticle in the center now has an arrow on it. And if I follow the direction of that arrow, it will take me up. And I just keep going until ultimately I get to, and there it is, Saturn, the object that I wanted to find. In the lower left corner or in the bottom, it'll give you information about the objects that you're looking at. Again, on the iOS platform, the watch extension that I mentioned is just the watch extension. Watches don't have cameras, so obviously you don't get the app looking like this. The watch extension really is just a list of interesting objects that will be out in the night to come that you might want to take a look at. So that's the watch extension, fairly simple to use. The app is really easy to use. Runs on, again, iPad, iPhone, and it's free. They have a couple of in-app purchases. One is to turn on satellites. So satellites are not on by default. And there's a feature to turn on music if you'd like to buy the music feature. But everything that I've shown you here is actually just in the free version. That's it, and it's called SkyView for iOS.
Thanks, Tim. That sounds like a very interesting app as well. We're going to take a quick break here in our presentation of astronomy apps for smart devices to give you our email address in case you would like to send us a question or suggest a topic for a future show. And coming up next is Term with Stephen Whitty.
Term of the month for October 2015, computer. We've been talking about computer software. I'm talking about computers for the 1890s. In 1893, Henrietta Swan Leavitt was hired by Edward Pickering at Harvard as a computer. And the idea was that she would do math and for less. Harvard had these photographic plates from the Southern Hemisphere, and they needed somebody to analyze the brightness of stars. Henrietta came up with a relationship between the brightness of stars and how long between when they went dim and bright. And this became used as a distance ladder. Edwin Hubble then used that to determine the distance to the Andromeda Galaxy, showing that it was outside of the Milky Way, turned astronomy upside down. That's computer, term of the month for October 2015.
Thanks, Stephen. We're back talking about astronomy apps for smart devices. My guests are Tim Campbell and Liam Finn, talking about applications for both Apple and Android. We're going to move next to Liam, who's going to talk about one of my favorite applications, Stellarium. Liam?
Yes, the Stellarium app comes on mobile devices as well as the PCs and Macs. So let's go into a quick demo of it on a smart device like an Android phone.
So this is Stellarium. This is a nice app. On the PC and on the Mac, it is available for free, and you can use it on your PC and Mac to drive your telescope. On your mobile devices, it cannot drive your telescope, but it is available for a small fee on the mobile device for about $3, I believe. The Stellarium application is very easy to use. It can be used by both astronomers and by beginners or people just using binoculars to look at the night sky to figure out what's out there. The ability to change time is very simple. You just click on the time symbol and you can go forward and backward in time. So let's go till it's later and it's a bit darker in the sky. We have a menu system on here where we can pick up and turn on and off the lines for our constellations. We can turn on and off the constellation names. Bring up the folklore symbols. We can actually just remove the ground beneath our feet so we can actually look below the horizon if we wish to. We can turn on or off our cardinal points, enable or disable the point of view of galaxies and clusters and so on. We can actually turn on or off the satellites. Let's see if there's a satellite. There we go. We have satellites there. We can turn on or off satellites. This I'm scrolling by hand. We have the ability to actually, there's a little symbol down here, right beside the symbol for the eye, and between the eye and the satellite, that actually allows you to put it into directional mode. And so when you put it into that mode, you can actually hold it to a position in the night sky, and it will tell you what's out there, very similar to what the Google Sky Map can do. We have night mode for the astronomers, so we can turn the screen red so it's safe on our eyes, not ruin our night vision. We can change the star lore, we can change our location, all from here, specify dates and times in the past and in the future. We can search for items, and when searching for those items, it'll just bring you around to that item and you can zoom in on those items, which is quite nice. It does give you a little bit of information on each item, and compared to Google Sky Map, it has a little bit more information on the items. As I said, on the PC and the Mac, it has the ability to actually drive your telescope. We actually use this application not on a mobile device, but on a PC. We use it in the show for the what's up in the night sky. So this actually drives that view. So all those graphics you see of the items in the night sky is actually provided by Stellarium.
Thanks, Liam. I'm sure the folks will enjoy Stellarium as much as I do. Next, we'll shift back to Tim with a Apple device.
Thanks, Don. So you mentioned that the last application was your favorite application to use. This next application I want to talk about is my favorite application to use. We could spend quite a while talking about all the features that this have. We won't get into all of the features, of course. We only have a few minutes to go through it. I'll just hit some of the highlights here, and let's go ahead and get started.
Sounds good.
Okay, now I want to do a quick demo of an application called SkySafari. You'll notice it says SkySafari Pro. That's because there's a standard, Plus, and Pro edition at different price points. The standard edition is $299. The Plus version adds a lot of features. It's $14.99. And the Pro edition is $39.99. It doesn't really add many more features in the Pro edition, but really what it adds is an awful lot more data, including data for objects too faint to be seen from amateur telescopes. But maybe if you're an imager and you're taking a long exposure, you'd see those objects, so you want it. But that also means that it takes a lot more space on your device. The Pro edition takes about 1 gigabyte of space. So I'm showing this off on an iPad today, but it runs on both iOS and on Android devices, phones and tablets. And the functionality within a version is pretty much the same across all platforms. You get more real estate, obviously, on a tablet. If I was on a phone, I'd have to slide my finger back and forth across the bottom bar to see all the options in the menu down there. It's planetarium software, which means it's giving us a simulated view of the sky. I'm using my finger, and I'm moving my finger around the screen to navigate up and down, left and right. And I can zoom in and zoom out by squeezing, pinching my fingers together, or stretching them apart, as you might expect. If I pick an object, I can get more information about it. So I've selected the planet Venus. It's giving us orbital information, where it'll be at certain dates and times. I can hit the info button, zoom up and down. It gives me information all about the planet Venus or any object I select. On the left, it gives me more physical properties, where it is, how far away it is, how large it is, when it rises, when it sets, things like that appear over there. I don't just have to use my finger to navigate. There's this compass button in the bottom row, and if I tap that, now it uses the gyro and compass and the device that you're looking at. So if you see a bright object in the sky, you're wondering what it is, you can just sort of point your device at it, use compass mode, point your device at it, zoom in and find out what's out there. So for example, in this case, I saw it's Saturn out there. I'll go ahead and turn that mode off. It does also have the ability to observe from locations other than Earth. So for example, I'll tap Jupiter. And having done that, I'll tap this orbit button that you see down in the bottom row. It zips me out there. And I can go out to Jupiter and view it from orbit. And I can move my finger to move around, get different perspectives on the planet. I'll tap Europa, for example. I'll hit the orbit button again. It zips me over there. And I could get information on these objects, for example. I'm going to go ahead and return back to Earth. And then one other thing that I would like to show off, it has the ability to control telescopes, which is kind of nice. You have to have the Plus or Pro version to control a telescope. The basic standard edition does not have this feature. So I've got it set up with a simulated telescope on an altitude azimuth mount. It knows how to connect via wired methods, serial cables and things like that, as well as wireless methods such as a Bluetooth connection or a Wi-Fi connection. And there are little devices, accessories you can get if your telescope doesn't already have that feature. There are accessories that you can get that they sell that give you those sorts of capabilities. And I can manually control moving my telescope up and down if I'd like to do that. But if I pick an object, so for example, I'll go ahead and do a search. I'll say I don't even know what to look for, so I'll just say tonight's best. Oh, show me the Andromeda Galaxy. I'd like to see that. And notice there's this go-to button down here. So it's moving my telescope over and positioning it at the Andromeda Galaxy. I don't have to keep my view pinned to what the telescope is looking at. I can unlock my view, and now I have the ability to use my finger to move it away. If I hit the lock button, it says, no, I want my view of the tablet screen to match what the telescope sees. So I can do that if I'd like to do that. Since you're probably going to be using it at night, you can turn on night mode so it doesn't ruin your night vision, which is kind of a nice feature to have as well. There are many more features of the software. I don't have the time to go into all of it, but that is briefly SkySafari. I'm showing you the SkySafari Pro Edition, available on iOS devices and Android devices.
Thanks, Tim. Now, Liam has an application for us for the Android device. What have you got there, Liam?
Well, the next application I'm going to show you is called Solar Walk, and it's not really aimed at astronomers per se. It's more informative about our solar system, and it's really good for kids to learn about our solar system, to get interested in astronomy. So let's give you a quick demonstration of that.
And this application called Solar Walk, it's not really aimed at astronomers per se. I think it's more information about the objects in our solar system. I really like it because its graphics are really, really good. And it's got a lot of good information stored as part of each object in the solar system. When you initially open up the app, it centers on Earth, as you see here, and we can scroll around and you see Earth, and in the background you can see the other some of the other planets and our moon. It provides a lot of information. The graphics are fantastic in this app, and it's a free app. There is a paid version that has a lot more information, but the free app just gives you the overview. It's not really ideal to find objects in the night sky. It's not designed for that. It's designed to be informative. If we just scroll, or if we just move around here and we can select another object, so let's say Venus is there, we can click on Venus. And if we click on the eye in the bottom of the screen, it brings up information about Venus. So it tells me the temperature of Venus can rise to 460 degrees centigrade, or almost 800 degrees Fahrenheit. I can click on information, and it gives me a lot of information regarding the planet. I can click on the figures, and it gives me all the details about the average distance from the sun, its volume, its radius. I can also see what the makeup of the planet is like, and by clicking the arrow on the side, it actually gives me a lot of information about what we believe the planet is made out of. It also shows up a little map of the names of different features on the planet that we've actually named. And once we come out of there, we can go back and we can choose another object if we wish to, like Jupiter. And Jupiter, we see Jupiter and its moons. And it's not only the planets, but it also gives information on the moons as well. So let's say Ganymede, and we can bring up information on Ganymede. And it provides some details about Ganymede and the figures on Ganymede. So it also provides some actually pictures. So just give it a moment to load. And it provides pictures of the size of Ganymede compared to Earth and our moon, and other images that we actually have of Ganymede. So I think it's really, really informative, and I think it's a really good app for something that's free. It provides a lot of information about our solar system. That's why I chose to show this one.
Okay, there's one more app I'd like to show you now that we're almost finished. The last app I'd like to show you is called ISS On Live. And the nice thing about this is it's very similar to the ISS Spotter that Tim showed you earlier on, with one addition that actually shows you live video feeds from the ISS as it's actually flying over you. So it's live video streaming.
This application is called ISS Live. I really like this application because it shows me a live view of where the ISS is, but also gives me live video feeds from the ISS. So this is showing video feed number 2. I can also change over and do a map and video feed 1, which will update and give me a different view of the ISS and Earth as the ISS passes over. So that is showing you a view of the coastline of Australia. And it's, as you see from the map above, the ISS is getting ready to leave Australia right now and head towards New Zealand. I can also set alarms. So when my next pass of the ISS is passing over where I live, I can enable or disable alarms, and it will actually ring an alarm on my phone. So I know when to look up. It will then bring up the application, and I can see where the ISS should be in the sky.
I hope you've enjoyed our presentation today on astronomy apps for smart devices. I'd like to thank my guests, Tim Campbell and Liam Finn. As always, visit our club website. You can see that down at the bottom of your screen. And coming up next with our monthly feature of What's Up in the Night Sky is our own Stephen Whitty. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Don. What's up in the night sky for October 2015? So the days are still getting shorter in the Northern Hemisphere as we We've passed the equinox and we're heading toward the winter solstice. One thing you could keep in mind is that astronomical night starts an hour and a half after sunset, and astronomical night ends about an hour and a half before sunrise in the morning. So that's, astronomical night then is that darkest sort of time of night. The sun is below the horizon by enough that it really doesn't cast any light. The moons. The moons start with the third quarter on October 4th, a new moon, which we won't see much of at all, on October 12th, the first quarter on October 20th, and the full new moon on October 27th. Now, Venus rises at, about 4 a.m. Here on the 26th of October, Venus is about as high in the sky as it's going to get. That's because it's at max western elongation. We also have Jupiter and Mars here, and they rise at similar times. Mars rises a little later, about a half an hour later, and Jupiter a full hour later. And those times changed through the night. Venus moves the quickest. Saturn, shown here on the 15th at 8 p.m., sets at around 9:30 at the beginning of the month and just before 8 at the end of the month, so we're losing Saturn. Uranus, shown here on the 25th, is near the moon. This may help you spot Uranus if you've got binoculars and a decent sky chart. Uranus rises really just after sunset at the beginning of the month, and before sunset at the end of the month. It is best around 2 o'clock to about midnight by the end of the month. That's when Uranus is highest in the sky. But here on the 25th, it might be easy to use the moon to spot it. You should be able to see it in binoculars. Neptune, you'll need an even better sky chart. It sets around 5 in the morning to 3 in the morning by the end of the month. And it's best around midnight, and then finally at the end of the month around 9:30. Again, highest in the sky. And Vesta is in the view, and so if you want to look at one of the largest asteroids, that's a good thing. There are 2 meteor showers in October. I don't think of October as a meteor shower month, but it has the Draconids on the 8th, and it has the Orionids on the 21st. Now, the Draconids, in neither case will the moon be much of an issue. The Draconids are an unusual meteor shower because they are better in the evening before midnight. 10 to 15 an hour, but sometimes there's a big storm. The Orionids, like most meteor showers, is best after midnight. There's a wide peak, so you should try like from the 19th to the 22nd in the mornings. And that's what's up in the night sky for October 2015.